I think that in life, there are often crossroads, like moments of consequence where a decision can be made to move in one direction or the other, and there's no changing it, there's no reversing course. You just head down one path or the other, and in a way, it can be scary because it's hard to commit to anything. We kind of want to hold back and weigh our options out, but sometimes you just have to move forward with faith down whichever path you feel is right. And oftentimes, the scarier, more uncomfortable path is the correct one. Sometimes it's easier to just stay where you are and continue down the path you've been trotting. But when the universe, when the opportunity is arisen, when it is given to you and you have a choice, you can decide to change everything, to take a leap and move in a completely opposite direction than you have been, oftentimes it's the best choice. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's easier to say hey, what I've been doing has worked. I'm in an okay place. Maybe if I just stay where I am in this environment with these people and just keep at it, it'll turn out all right. But sometimes, if you're honest with yourself, you realize that where you are, you're not going to be able to grow to the heights you want to get. It's there's this famous parable where it's a plant, a flower, is growing inside in a small pot. And, the gardener wants this flower to grow, wants it to, continue and be larger and more beautiful. So the gardener has to yank this flower out of its pot. And the flower resists a little bit, the roots kind of cling to the base of the pot, and the dirt sort of clumps together, and it's sort of hard to get the plant out of there. But once you put it in a larger pot in a different environment, the flower starts to grow. The gardener didn't put this plant outside because it knew that it would be better for the plant. It just, wanted the plant to grow and didn't think it would if nothing changed. So it's you don't always know how things are going to turn out. Sometimes you just have to take the leap in a way and just hope, because it's if you know you aren't growing in the environment you're in, you have to change if you want to grow. And what's more important than growth, really? It's where you want to be, the person that you want to be, the things you want to be doing 10, 20 years from now. That's not going to be possible as, who you are now. You're not there already. So it's going to take change. It's going to take growth. In my own life, I've lived in the same place my entire life, basically. I've lived in the same region, the United States, and I've lived with my family, and now I'm an adult. Now I'm 18, and I'm getting to the point where I'm considering moving out. And as I'm considering this, my brother brings me this incredible opportunity. It's sort of scary, it's sort of crazy, but we're gonna do it, and I think we're sold on it, and it's part of my future. Because when I envision who I'm going to be, I want to be an author, I want to be making content and influencing people like I am with this channel, but I want to do it to the highest extent that I can. And he's offering me, the opportunity that together we can liquidate all of our assets and make money online, and we want to move all the way around to the other side of the world and live in Thailand. For many reasons, because Thailand is, much cheaper than most places, and because, Bangkok specifically is a city of 10 million people, and there's a lot of opportunity, and we want to make content and stream out there and all sorts of things. And it's scary. It's scary because I'm only 18 and I'd be leaving everything I know and going around to the other side of the world. But what's scarier, almost in a way, is when I sit here and I imagine myself in the situation I'm in now, 10 years from now. If I just stay in the same specific place, around the same people, 10 years from now, I don't see myself having reached the heights that I want to. But when I see myself, sort of taking that leap, doing the uncomfortable thing, chasing that dream that, is only possible from discomfort, I find it a lot more plausible that I do it out there. I find it a lot more plausible that I do it, without any backup plan, just taking the risk, having, a way to make money out there, having, the safety net of my own, liquidity and assets and everything beneath me, but that's it. There's no parents to support me anymore. There's nobody I can fall back on but myself. If things get rocky out there, it's on me. And, I think that's sort of where growth comes from. And it's different for everyone. I don't think everyone should do something like I'm, going to be doing here. I'm willing to take this risk because, I have my brother with me and we have, a really solid plan and we have money saved up. And there's a lot of like necessity and reason why this is the best choice for both of us and what we want with our future. And we acknowledge the risk. We acknowledge the potential like failure of it, but it's worth it for us because, you know, we care so much about where we're trying to get, and we realize that the only way to get there is through a step like this, which is crazy. But whatever it is in your life, you might have to re-examine your situation, who you're around. Like, if you are a flower, like, where are you growing? And have you reached your highest extent that you can reach within that pot? Like, is it going to take a change of environment for you to continue your progress forward? I think that most people become very stagnant in their lives, like, especially when they reach a point where they have everything figured out in a way, like they have a nice paying job, they have a family. Like, you get to the place where you sort of are stagnant, like you aren't growing anymore, and that's fine if your desires have been met, but I think most people haven't, met their desires. They aren't completely happy or satisfied with their life, but they find themselves trapped in an environment where, there is no change, there is no forward progress, there is no potential to extend your roots further and to grow up just a little bit higher, And that's why I think, you have to seek discomfort in a way. Like, you have to look for those things that are so outside of yourself that, you're leaving the nest and you're searching through, untamed grounds, untamed forests, and that's where, like, you might discover a breakthrough. That's where you might discover, like, the source of, your own life in a way, like why you're here, what it's all for. And I think it's worth doing. I think it's when you're young and when you can take a risk and, when you have to back it up and there's no one you can rely on, like, that's when soul searching is best done. You don't want to end up having some midlife crisis later. And as much as it's scary to leave behind everyone I know in a way to, like, go out there and do this thing, like, I think there's a lot of, like, wisdom and experience that can be gained doing something like that. Like, I'm not Mormon, I'm not a member of the LDS Church, but I've grown up in Utah my entire life, and, all of my friends are reaching this age where they're going out on missions. For those not familiar with the LDS Church, a mission is basically like, when you turn 18, there's this sort of like expectation in the church, or maybe just like a tradition. I guess it depends on your family whether you feel like pressured into it. But they go out and they live in another country for 2 years and learn the language and sort of like do service and try to, convert people to their church. And, like, as much as I, like, don't necessarily agree with the Mormon church on certain things, I think that experience from what I've seen has been good for a lot of people. Like, going out and learning a new language, being in a completely new environment for such a length of time, like almost sort of being disconnected from the people they know, but then coming back, reconnecting the life they once had with all of that experience. They come back and they're most likely fluent in a different language. They have friends from a completely different side of the world now. Like, they have that perspective that they weren't able to get in their comfortable little home in the US, in Utah. And I think in a way, like, lately, seeing my friends get to that age and seeing them go out and, start their missions and say goodbye to everyone and, like, embark on this adventure, this experience that I know is going to change them in a massive way and could potentially be an incredible thing for them and help them, like, start their future off the back of it. And I started to think about that, and this was before me and my brother had developed this plan in the first place. Well, I mean, we had sort of talked about it before, but it wasn't, like, seriously in motion. Like, there wasn't a deadline. Now there is. Like, now it's, like, just a couple of months away, and I'm, like, making all the preparations, and I'm feeling the way they did, where there was this period in the middle, where my friends hadn't left on their missions yet, but they knew when they were leaving. They knew that they were going to leave, and they'd be out there for 2 years, and, they started to see their lives differently here. Their time became more valuable. Like, certain friends they just stopped hanging out with because they realized, like, this isn't, what I want to do with my time here. Like, if I only have 2 months here, like, I want to invest in these other relationships instead, or I want to, build something for myself so when I go out there I'll be more confident. A lot of them started going to the gym. They started cutting out toxic people. They started, like, brushing up on this language they were going to have to learn. Like, it puts everything into perspective when you're aware of this, upcoming change. And I saw how these people evolved even before they took that leap, because they knew in anticipation of that experience that they needed to be better than they were. They need to be, stronger in a way. So they built that strength. And I'm starting to feel the same way now that I know, like, this change for me is upcoming, and it's, guaranteed at this point. And I've made the decision, so now I have to be the one to, stand up to the challenge in a way. And, when I saw my friends off, like, I went to the airports for them. Like, I went to the airport for them. Like, I said goodbye and saw them walk through the terminal and wave at their families for the last time. They invited me to say goodbye for them, and I realized, like, what they must be feeling in that moment. Like, they're saying goodbye to everything they've experienced in their life. They're signing up for this uncomfortable experience, but they're also building themselves into the sort of person that, might be more capable of achieving their dreams or doing the things that they really care about in the long term. And I wonder how I'll feel in that moment, getting on that plane, like boarding to a new horizon, a new potential, and I think whatever that means for the rest of you listening to this, like, maybe it doesn't mean something as literal as, going on a mission or, living somewhere abroad. Maybe it just means, like, changing, your mindset, changing the friends you hang around, changing the environment you're in, like moving out for the first time, getting an apartment, maybe quitting your job and finding a job that you care more about, like, whatever risk it is, like, you can't really move forward if you're not willing to take some amount of risk. You can't really move forward if you're not willing to change things up and shake the hourglass and see what happens. It's like sometimes you can end up on your butt if you do that. Sometimes it can have disastrous consequences, but it's also like that potential is where you get everything worthy of, like, worth desiring in life. I mean, as much as there is the risk of ending up, face down in a pile of crap, there's also the, potential that if you do it right, it can build this beautiful future for yourself. It's all about hard work. It's all about, being the sort of person that can handle it. And that's why, like, it sort of forces you to be, because when you're in that situation, there is no safety net. You kind of have to rise to the challenge in a way. And I think that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm working towards, is that, like, when there's no choice anymore, like, when I am an adult, I'm out on my own, like, I'll be even more, like, locked in a way, or I'll be even more, like, committed to this vision of the future that I have. And so I guess, we'll see what happens. I might bring my brother on for these next videos. I think we're sort of going to be a team on all of this, and I'm going to keep you guys updated. I'm going to sell this computer. I'm going to get, like, a gaming laptop. And I think we're just going to keep you guys updated while we're out there, like, do a call every night or every other night as we play some Minecraft together and bring subscribers on later on and things like that. But that's the future for me. That's what the vision looks like. I think we're going to do an interview series out there, like, talking with people on the streets and streaming our daily life and just going through, like, just these beautiful experiences together, like, just trying to, like, grow on social media and go to the gym and learn Thai and, like, just experience, like, an entire different world, a country on the other side of the world. Like, we'll have bills and expenses, but I think it'll be an incredible adventure, like, living on our own out there. Like, he has been for years. He's older than I am, but this will be my first experience really being moved out. I mean, I'd moved out and lived with, another relative for a while as I was working this job, but this will be definitely next level. So I'm excited to see what happens, and I'm excited to try to keep up with everything I'm doing and just, become more consistent and productive and start to build the foundation that my life, will rest upon in a way going forward. So if you're in a similar situation, if you have the choice, like, you're at a crossroads, I would say, like, look at where you are in your life, like, and look at the circumstances that have led you to this point, like who you are, who you spend your time with, everything going on, and who you are. And consider if you are being held back, or if you are the way that you are unsatisfied because of your environment. Or rather, if it is not your environment, if it is yourself, what can be done about that? If it is your environment and you're at this crossroads where you can change it in some way, or you can, flip the script, like, do something different, consider where you want to be and what it's going to take to get there, and what, this crossroads can enable you to do. It's like if this choice of walking down the right path and going, doing something much different than what you have been doing is more likely to, put you down the path towards the success of your life, whatever that means for you in your specific situation with your specific desires, then I would say do it, because it's like we only live one life here. There's only so much time, there's only so much opportunity. And if you're willing to give that up, if you're willing to just do the comfortable, normal, like easy thing and stay in your environment, then you're basically saying goodbye to your highest potential, like saying goodbye to your truest, most real desire. And if you're okay with that, if you're okay with, letting go of your dreams, like staying complacent, staying in one place, then that's fine, But I think if we're honest with ourselves, we realize that, if our environment is unsatisfying, if it's keeping us down, then that needs to be changed in some way. And, if you're hanging around people that you feel like are holding you back, then maybe you need to change that too. It's hard to change, but it's harder to stay in one place forever, I promise. Like, you can grow if you change the pot, but if you stay in the same place, if you stay in the same pot, you're just going to be the same person year after year. And you don't think it'll happen because it happens slowly, but I've seen people that have been the exact same people since I've known them, that have for 7, 8, 9 years, ever since we met. They've just stayed in the same place because they've been unwilling to change their environment or the people they're around or anything. They were never able to take the leap, go down the hard path, do the uncomfortable thing. And they're just the same person, and I think there's something very sad about that, because we're meant to grow and evolve and change, and that's part of human nature. Like, we're fluid and flexible, and we have so much potential to grow. And if we don't take advantage of that, then I think that's just a very sad, unfortunate product of, comfort.